Filtro proprio, ma non proprio con tutto con la sabbia, ho stazzato lungo il salino ma non danno come si vede. Quando sei proprio and then the government comes in place big ways to start it. The government was registered in 1975. We became lobbying for it. Exclusion of landowners from mining decisions and benefits. We shouldn't wait for the mining list to be signed. Once the exploration license is given to the developer or the miner, they have to call in the landowners and sit down with them and tell them, people are mining to start. Hold on, ground people are still value or something here. How by people? They should not wait for the mining list to be ready. Because while the miner is extracting samples for evaluation or assessment, they're selling those samples offshore to finance their exploration activity. And the landowners are still going to do it. In Iowa, the rights of waterways, resources, and double river access. If there is a waterway below Patna Bus and that is generating money commercially, that goes through customary land or landowner land, then the landowners must be compensated. They must have a benefit sharing agreement. It is a long-term sustainable plan for the use of their rights. Because the rivers and the waterways still belong to us in no time. And we give our consent or for the government to take away ownership of that from us. We have not given our ownership rights to the government. It still belongs to us. The government must come to us and talk to us. The government must come and talk really open. They must tell us the truth about this. We can bring them together to increase that. People can go best practices from other jurisdictions. Instead of I remember giving the written submission of way coming through there. By just touching on this stuff, whatever, 6 power, line of people, go through. We look at our best practices from other jurisdictions, in New Zealand, by anti-traffic tribunal, office of for post-colonial restitution. Or something on stuff, problem with Germany, the right club, online, illegal doing or white family, this is white family tribunal. That one is for open first. Side we are recommending 7 legally tribes, pre-prime focus and community access to the main matters. One customary land management by 2020 integrates customary governance into a digital land management. Botswana integrates customary chiefs to formal landmarks. We should seriously consider. Always, Sami Parliament demonstrates co-governance over indigenous territories. And trees, or manageable. Papua New Guinea, with over 97% of its land under customary land ownership, stands at a critical juncture, shaping equitable, crucially grounded and legally robust land governance framework. In light of the Parliamentary inquiry into customary land and land reforms, it is essential to examine national, legal, and international models where indigenous humanitarian systems have been successfully integrated into national legal structures. So, keep on with the next terms of reference. Over the case studies, comparison with the labor. The international models analyzed theory demonstrate that legally protected, culturally grounded indigenous land governance systems are achievable. All the rules are reform by human capital they are achievable. They've been done by international other countries. They've been achieved by other countries. We are just as good as them. I believe that As a public meeting patron, I believe that we are just exclusive. Why can we not make it happen? Anyway, for the IEP will away all custody landowners across Papua New Guinea, the challenges to adapt that peace presence within the PNG constitutional legal and customary context. Doing so will ensure the preservation of indigenous land rights, the empowerment of local governance institutions, and the establishment of a land governance model that balances development with indigenous self-determination and sustainability. These are all constitutional principles. Terms of reference, seven policy and legislative reform recommendations. We respectfully propose the following legislative reforms. Customary land restitution law. A special act to address and provide remedies for historical alienation of customary land. Not only must we have a separate governing act for customary land, but we must have one customary land restitution law, meaning that all the ground of people prior to the Independence Act must be returned back to the indigenous land. Reform of the Land Act 1996 to enshrine a requirement for landowner representation of the national and the provincial governments. This must be written into. Otherwise, those codes are anything because they're not based on the truth. They're based on convenience. And we must mandate a full consent and benefit sharing agreements before granting statements to anybody with customary landowners. They're going to build a state institution or state infrastructure, talk to the landowners. Get their consent. Who the benefit sharing agreement. We should have a standard benefit sharing agreement for different scenarios. For mining, we should have set it up for the mining communities. Very urban landowners should have one for very urban landowners. Landowners who own homes must have set it up. This is what our taxpayer our taxes should be paid. If we contribute bigger money on tax, but we are not seeing the return on investment for our tax. It's a money to consume. Number three, we respectfully request that recognition of traditional government structure must be legalized and mandated into the Land Act, Resource Acts, the Oil and Gas, the Mining Acts. This must be put into there because we're doing the development of someone's land. The landowners must be involved legally. It must be a legal requirement. Failure for this, the offenders must face financial penalties. Because once you've taken away the land from the landowners, because of that, they are not going to get it. We have to be just in our country. Number four, I just said, the men free prior informed consent to the Land Act, the Mining Act, with civil and criminal penalties for one. Number five, consolidate existing land statutes into a unified customary land protection act, codifying ILG's section 132 and MPS. Number six, recognize indigenous landowner authorities in legislation granting all management rights of the registration and filing of every single land registration. I'm over Montana registering of customary land. Every single document of landowners at the tribal chiefs must sign up. This is how everybody's setting up, and that's happening. What's happening now, that's happening to anybody with a big money in the pocket and go to the lands department with a survey plan and register the land and land. How the white man going to give more money for this? How is this possible? That's right. Down bridge on the road. You want to go to the solar farm? I'll say that. They don't know for that. It ended up in the hands of a Chinese woman who sold the land to PNG. Down, illegal law, terms of reference, proving registration and tenure security. streamline land registration and ensure data security. We have the digitized land records and maps with full transparency, meaning that along the way, the process along the way, they must be transparent. We must be able to have visibility on it because it is a public document. We cannot have land we need to have full transparency because we own the land, not the land offices in Guatemala. And ground, it's a public document, so we must have full transparency in this. We must be given that. And our customary land secretaries will lead registration efforts, supported by technical officers from the state. We need to have a customary land secretary and several tribes. Now, that secretary will be now soon available. We need to have a certain customary land secretary. I'm not talking about state is like that, but ground looking like it. We want a separate because we own 97%. MO3. We need to introduce land title mechanisms to prevent the transfer of land until consented compensation process. We have to establish customary land holding mechanisms to manage communal permit lists. This is something that the Anwabarians people who come from Yalu, Natsai, this is something that we definitely do. But you can't just state this, throw money to our land, take it, and people know what Cahoes, people know what public service. No, they only came into being in 1975. You were here long before. The state has to go into an exercise where we demarcate the ground rule. We have to issue customary land certificates to record clear boundaries without any addition. Because once it goes into alienation again, Secretary of the Land will get power over the ground and Minister of Land will get power over it. Now, like people of the Snola Valley, no one was being a triangle. We have to do this normally and we have to do this legally. Establish a public digital land registry with open access GIS mapping and a immutable coded trails. Immutable meaning that no part of the coded trail must be hidden. We must have that in order for us to have integrity in our land dealings. The final point on terms of reference G is to recognize indigenous landowner authorities as co-registers in dispute. People must state district court, of the landowners of the land are still there on the land. And then whenever somebody turns up with a Supreme Court ruling, it's a no, I go here and come in as Supreme Court so and the landlord is saying, that's actually a basic point. Landlord is saying, when did this happen? Why was I not consulted? Why am I not a party to this? They override it and superseded our customary landowners' rights because of money now, because they have the money to do it, and it's happening right now. It's really good. And we finished the terms of reference G, having the terms of reference H. Capacity building for government and landowners. Capacity gaps are evident across government agencies, many like training in custody law, conflict resolution, and community engagement. Giving a fund to land sources stop the most people. On MRA episode, we was studying on one time, mining communities, why not land sources? Send them into the villages so they don't consider them to because that's where the truth is in the village. Landowners many are not able to navigate the legal process by the registration and use agreements with investment negotiations. This is why telling the land officer to the village, give them time to run clinics, for example, the landowners in the village, to teach them these things that they run. Recommendations, develop formal training programs with universities and legal institutions focused on custody land governance. We have a need to govern our custody. We need a separate law. Recruit and train local users, community land officers, and then customary communities. Therefore, establish a customer landowner support fund for legal and technical assistance. If the landowner has been proceeding alright, they must have the funds to do with the governance fund. Because if you want to use the land, you have to use the money. Things do not let you make the process. But faster if you don't have it. and disputes of any parties. Training comments about the society brings the customer authorities in FTS, GIS map and dispute litigation. That's the point of this one. And state programs by County 1 on custody division. Everyone that also custody land officers by under 1 month of this, because somebody wants to learn and see what they do. And then bring that knowledge back, service what skills and experience. Legal aid units. Second point is legal aid units, role and units in this. Must extend notice of registration because of the some of them in the ILG mostly bring the ILG guys down here and let them go in the village of the guys. I'm kind of like the NID one, they want to sell that. All of those are good. I'm not some of the woman of this, and register, they don't know it's some. The government's got the money to do it, we don't. You want to use the land development. Anything of streets inside our cities, you will not be done. Without that, the cities won't be there. All institutions, instead of getting somebody from another region and holding the living on the street after them, makes us wonder. It really makes us wonder. Public awareness and education strategies. A national level reform will only succeed if people understand it. Without understanding, these reforms will never be successful because of ignorance and lack of understanding. This is the justification for getting the land officers into the villages. Because the land is in this. The value of the land alone should justify this financial decision. We recommend the public awareness campaign in top considered all the main issues of training information and so forth. Have them question times and talk actions. So landowners can ask better questions. Integration of customary land rights education into school curriculum. We have to teach our children, give them knowledge and information that are going to help customary land rights expand. And we have to introduce into our curriculums. The development of community legal literacy programs to explain land laws, registration, compensation, and dispute resolution. And then community law forums, community principles. When there's a development about to send the lands officer to the villages. So they will tell them, you want to get mission to this. We know how to do something. Or tell me that you want to develop and I'm still this should be the application to really develop. So the landowners know what's coming. And you have a free ride. Point 4. Terms of reference here that by you not agreement, but we cover one. What we see is a land system that's very transparent and inclusive, one that upholds the custody heritage and professional rights. The ongoing marginalization and move of under the backs of under inspection. Council chief respect the principle of special policy committee. So that's meaning that we are and promote sustainable and inclusive national development. We have firm willingness to collaborate and we can shape and actually notice. As a community partners in building a just and equitable we urge that our perspectives and lived experience be placed at the core of any legislative framework. This submission is made in good faith, grounded in our constitution and Parliamentary traditional obligations, and our responsibility to say that and for future generations. We appeal for reforms that are bold and vision, ultimately to legally simple and informed by successful international movements. Customary landowners want that country, including our own people, preserve a tenure system that affirms our identity, protects our rights, and allows our own national development. We will remain available to provide oral and written evidence, support the practice process, and contribute to the effective implementation of the proposed reports. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Everybody maintain notes. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning or today's consultation, obviously we won't be able to get everybody to speak, but we try our very best. If you go to any fashion, please, except for the ones we just said, we've had the first two and clearly we will have like a glad company making. You're all here because you have extremely direct interest from ground. And we are all associated to land in our various areas we're going to give you in our land. We are indigenous people of our country. And throughout, okay. So this is why the work of the special parliament committees to come out now. This is thinking of the Parliamentary. So what you are doing today, ladies and gentlemen, is informing your parliament to come up with and educating your parliament to come up with a law that we can all subscribe to. This is called social contract aspect of this project of making law. So that's why we are here to have this conversation. I want to commend the submission of the Legal Council of Chiefs of the Telomoni, because whatever it's giving us a greater insight. And I think so I'll give 10 minutes each. Please, we will be short, so if you don't have to use the whole 10 minutes, please run it down for it. You don't know next thing. So speak with the gentleman. When you speak, introduce yourself, come to one and then group or province, and then you can speak. With the microphone, it's not where you are. You can speak from where you don't need to come to the front. So special interest. So, I don't think there's any problem with that. You can give you a flash drive. It's only documented on the flash drive or hold on.
Thank you. It's been a long time. Before I continue, I am managing again a graduate of recent division in the Bachelor of Technology. I have been working as a consultant for more than 50 years, or 50 years at the most, and as a learning administrator in Ghana. So as I discussed, basically I will be sharing my experience, my observation, what I see should be done to improve. On that note, I'd like to once again thank the honorable member. The last time we did a similar presentation during the summit was in Mount Island. We did, and then two, all of those outcomes was taken up with the for this morning, I'd like to be short. There's more of like my former speakers have said, and I'm sure when I discussed my video, my perspective of learning before, particularly this morning, I wanted to discuss on the ILC registration.
So we let me moderate. Yeah, This is not just for Masi, it's for the entire country. So I think we can without our friend here for just 10 minutes. The time is started, so I'm going to be telling you this. I'm going to stop you on the 10th minute and we'll move to the next speaker.
Okay.
But your presentation perhaps can be taken on board by the committee and will be utilized. You can speak to it.
Okay, with the mind. I'm thinking I am relevant. So much has been said about it, so many issues in relation to IoT related. So what I want to talk is still the process that is independent of the nine practical. Let's unpack that. If we say too much, we get ourselves one. The what is the problem? If internet the world. Next. Okay, yes, that's important. You all know, I don't need to repeat. Empower. The bottom line is empower them. Let's not go to power like that. Empower them. But how do we make this out? My good friend is mentioned the book for calculation. But soon that will be. So, next slide. How do we do it? Now, there are three things I will raise in IoT. Three points. Crucial. If we address that, we will understand more. Number one, election management. People talk about and why is it happening? Let's unpack that process. One, in the process, we look at the IoT management because there is no quality. Candidate to be on the management committee. That's all basically just all the committee is determined the whole 10 members can nominate. Nomination. But we will have to rethink it. Something you wanted to be on the management committee must qualify. That's going to it must be a problem in the public. That's where a lot of problems are. You look at it in reality. You also have then against a linear system. Those are issues that we really need. For instance, involvement. Maybe so it cannot be okay. Or male in the children. And I have this already. So those are issues. Most of you are letting people under 22 on that. So I've made two recommendations. One, instead, what we did right there things based on those many days on that morning, resident committee need to be qualified till the cost within the community based on the party office. If we don't control that, it's happening. I remember I know people can deny these certificates, even all these things, the artworks coming down and also those places very because the real level is not anything at all. When they look at those things, it's
But we take note of your PowerPoint, ready the transcripts of these discussions and your questions. The IoT problem I think we all admit it's a big problem. It's a big problem in this country because it's caused a lot of, I think most of the issues have been pointed out by our first speaker, our second and both our speakers here, and we'll take them on board. You see, not everybody in this room belongs to an ILG, but everybody in this room belongs to a clan. So we should be thinking along those lines. This process is about our problem for the last 50 years in the post-independent state colonization process that we've been working with laws set by our colonizers. So we are not moving. So let me go through very quickly. In the past, attempts to integrate customary land into economic development have involved various approaches over time. Significant colonial era policy. This is a policy implemented before even independence. It was called by the colonizer. Called the transformation policy. Adopted by the Australian administration in the 1960s. It aimed to replace traditional forms of land holding, individual registered titles, and substitute customary law with English real property law. There's been a problem. What we're trying to do here is to hear your recommendations forward. So I think you made two very important points there, Mr. Manebi, and thank you very much for your contribution. I think I will come back to I think they came here quite early in the morning, and I think we should have allowed them.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for welcome Chairman David. So, connectivity member pretty Morris now. Typically, 7 years, when you come to the thank you to all people. Also, all people are overground one map more. So, we will Yata Ekabu, Baba, Arba, people, planet side. Okay, thank you, Michael Kalam, Pulo, those one, how many land group, in market world, and Mr. But Toko Green, something, but something in the Portimao, it's not work ING. Where I think people are home, another of the building, where people benefits of economic activities to country living. I'm sure that ground loan. Now, no government looks away from government on this side. Also, they need to go something where you must have platform or son of a more benefits come with me. And now, it's the government living more local participation. More local participation. Now, one platform will be me and ILG. ILG logo can come there. But not about this law, ILG law means plenty law. And it's a mining law, land act, no, this not. And what plenty law come to one plan for Western time or colonial times. Colonial times, you know, okay. So now you go mining law and go up to land, ILG. Now people are looking for China, you don't nothing, people think of China province.
I think you can hold the microphone to yourself.
And now we are coming to start and I think Burulo, I think maybe to say Burulo on the province of China. Money now is problem one. MRI also issue MRI mining laws or mining laws to 1910 is about the working the Bagari plenty ground to me. And now we have to Burulo plenty fight number to me player. So Chairman was somehow pointing out windows say I have to go. And we must so and we move the whole laws which are coming. When it goes to the overlap to an I am so agreement so developers come only one the by itself one of place to the Evo colonial type goes now, people have running to good ability. Something foreign based and bias to foreigners also. Foreigners is going to say any person now, last person nothing to do some. You have cross women of leaders of Polymanista. Actually, guru भी माने नहीं fight करना नहीं तो. So I want to issue the two issue point about you. Chairman and Munda overlapping laws to you. MRA laws whether it's the laws must be aligned with the laws together. So it goes with the government policy of local participation. People must have more participation. Translation must be more benefit. So we can find out the other. Our government second. Second issue to be done is the law. People look at the arguments on the way of ground law. Ground law was placed by his army and how we have to go to the second. And so let me next go. I people go. Well, something express to talk about the development. What do you get to translate? Tell me what to do. Everybody should go. Moving forward, I'm going to ask you now, we can follow really on the land. MRA. The mining है, लोगों का अगर नारों पर से तो because problem तो नहीं होगा, तो हमने सोना people से हमारा problem है. Number two, we like people recommendation to be applied for explaining framework for biodiversity act. Number two, we good, how much good. How much is good so that people can go good one day now we plan and sit up when the section was and go good. Now you know fight or kissing for the code, that's like you must obey. So no government because government se come up with next department se come up with the bill. All man sim money, all never must be. Leave the money to waste for ticket. I can. The government must be the finding number. Also in the idea, people will be come on the ground. Some of the people place. Now, funny enough, I'm trying to look at the career told you. So, the people are going to legislate framework law. I expect law managing to the government. Number three, regulation to indulge over the contract. Over the agreements with government will start. Ground the topography, uniform, universal, differentiate, or government combination, combination, combination. Laws of special benefits must involve all. Only when they come correct one are in the fight of the good. So when people are recommendation to people become close to the recommendation for the group legislation decisions of both the mission one of the program home shopping is the government general. Thank you for so much. Thank you, Bipla.
By you starting going at 4 o'clock, you don't worry. By 4 better get. Am I right now? 4 o'clock, you have time to do it. So, if I put it in past 10, you know where, on the clear, promise now, we can talk.
My brother must ready to speak. My brother, my grand, my brother lost. We don't know what straight. We were what. We were straight. We don't know what blocking of growth. From Customary there. Now we serve a court here now. Court now coming central. Hearing now by decreasing lane on the straight now. We talking you come on. You know what you I did nothing now. Look that. We know people said. Marking people said. Looking at people. Nothing wrong,